Dreamcatchers, welcome to another day in the Writer's Haven. I'm your host, Helena, and with us today is author D.M. Cuffie. D.M. is a Columbia, Maryland native and author of the book At Least Once. Many of her main characters, as well as the locations noted in her book, were locally inspired. However, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Thank God for that. Here to discuss her debut novel is author D.M. Cuffie. Welcome to the Writer's Haven.
Thank you so much for having me here.
It's good to have you here, and especially because this is your debut novel, and many of our dream catchers are aspiring writers and also first-time authors, self-published. So I'm happy to have you here to talk about that experience. So let's start off with something that our dream catchers ask many times, and that is, how did DM, in this case, begin her writing journey? Was it something that you aspired to do as a child, or did it just kind of make its way into your space and into creative writing?
So I was reading in Dominican Republic about this one character in Jennifer Weiner's Good in Bed, and I just laughed hysterically. I had the best laugh, and it's contagious. Scaring away seagulls and people looking at me funny. And I said I wanted to do that. I wanted to make somebody laugh that hard of what I write. And I found that I did do that when I write emails to my friends. And I'm just really writing about a yoga experience or something that happened, but people give me feedback and how it's a welcoming point in their day when they see my email. And
so tell me about the emails, because I did read that in some materials that was forwarded to me for this interview about how you would send emails to friends and they would just comment. Were they conversational kind of emails? Was it comedic or in some way? How did that? Very curious to know how the emails worked.
It was one of those things where, so this is what happened.
Okay.
And yoga, I just started taking yoga. And just the positions that we were in, I'm like, good gracious. And I didn't think I had that much muscle or had that much limber. And just being descriptive, just talking about how I felt. And they felt what I felt when they're reading my emails. And I didn't realize I was doing that, but it was my descriptive use of what happens to me when I go to yoga, when I go to gym class, and especially about gym class, and how one gentleman had was the prettiest looking gentleman. And all I can think of is that I hope he had the most wonderful breath. That's all I can think about. Not the fact that he was good looking, but I was just scared that he was going to give me a cold because he had really nice breath. And so
he was going to give you a cold, you said?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I thought maybe when I'm writing that to my coworkers, they were in hysterics at work. And I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I just feel kind of glad that I'm able to provide that kind of joy in somebody's day.
Okay, but you were talking about your process, and so you start off sending out these emails, and you had the trip in Dominican Republic, and you were having fun there, and is that what birthed the book, those two experiences, or just the writing?
What actually birthed the book was, there's another book in front of this one. I wanted to write about my experiences in Dominican Republic first.
Okay.
However, after I went to graduate school, around 2004, 2005, there was this myriad of news shows that were talking about African-American women over 35 who are still single and have no children, whether this area or just across the country. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, why am I hearing so many of these news shows? But then again, my friends fit that category, my cousin fit that category, and unfortunately, I fit in that category too. But we were living our lives. We did what we were supposed to do. We went to college, got the job, got the car, got the house, and had the friends, had the trips, but no one really to share it with. And time is progressing, and now we're in that 35 and over and single, and they're talking about us. And I said, and also I'm noticing that there are too many women, African-American women, for whatever reason, are not wearing wedding rings. So I said, let's keep breeze, but let's write about that and find out why we're not getting married. And it wasn't so, it's not a book that how to get married, because I'm not married, so therefore I don't know how to, but I can be prepared. I can help somebody, I can encourage somebody, because when I went through my singles courses, I wasn't getting the encouragement. I was getting the accountability. However, his word was always there, but I wasn't getting the encouragement that I was looking for, and I wasn't getting the girl talk. We want the transparency, and you heal and you resonate with somebody else through transparency. And also you want to be transparent without being judged. And so I created this class so that I can actually be a part, have that transparency. And so I decided to create a class off campus, off the church campus, and actually make sure that they're in a safe space to be transparent and to be encouraged at the same time, but also still keeping his word accountable. So that's why I created this particular book, so other women can be encouraged.
So tell us about the While We Wait series.
The name of the class is While We Wait. And with this particular book, it's while we wait, we will be prepared. Let's get prepared. The next book, we'll talk about while we wait, we will have a good time. But with this particular book, there is while we wait for God's best, while we wait for what's our next journey, what does he want us to do? And I wanted to keep the books and the books to come underneath that while we wait, we will do A, B, C, and D. And I love when Bree said in the book, while we wait for what? It was really comical when I wrote it, because it just blurted out. And when I saw that, when I saw while we wait, let's be prepared. Let's learn how to cook. Let's get back in the kitchen. Let's put a little bit of lipstick on. We're going out to Christmas shopping this season. Let's make sure we look good when we go out there. We're not looking like whatever. So being prepared to see whatever the season. And also, while we wait, we will shine our light. Let's shine our light so that he can see, oh, I didn't see her in that realm. So let's go ahead and have God shine our light on us.
So tell us a bit about your process.
First and foremost, started with Breeze. And I like character development. And I want to see who's going to be around Breeze. And I plot out the names, their hair color, what they normally wear, their sayings, how they sound, and make sure that they're either supporting Breeze or against Breeze properly. And next thing you know, I took a class in elements of fiction. And I had an outline. It was an outline that was just outlined all chapters and the seasons and all the kind of good stuff.
Time of day.
Time of day. And I said, okay, I have the characters, I have the outline, and next thing you know, I'm a scribbler. So I love to scribble things while I'm doing whatever the case may be, while I'm working, while I'm running, whatever the case may be, I'm scribbling something down. And so I make sure that I put all that information on the computer and making sure that everything's all in one spot, because it can be strolling all over the place. Then we want to make sure that you find what you wrote and then actually can understand what you wrote. But all that goes onto the outline, and like the first quotes, poignant quotes, and what needs to be said, that strong point that needs to be said is all on that outline. But I make sure I do that outline. I make sure I develop those characters, and I make sure I grab up every scrap of paper I possibly can to make sure I don't leave anything out.
Okay. So with you do your outline, you have your character development. When you're actually about to engage in the writing, are you writing linearly? Are you writing okay, I'm going to, because I've outlined and I know what's in each chapter, I'm going to start with this chapter. How does
I'm all
that...
over the place.
Okay.
I'm all over the place. I can't do linear because what if a thought comes into my head, oh, this should be with this chapter, this should be with that chapter. I think I want to write about this chapter. One chapter I loved, and that's the reason why I know I'm definitely not linear, was Words Hurt. And as time progressed throughout the years, I would actually, oh, let me add this, oh, let me add this, and let me add that. And then if I go to a certain spot within Maryland, then I want to make sure I add the aesthetics of that place and make sure that I write about that chapter, make sure that it's fresh in my head, write the notes, get the scribbles down, and make sure that that chapter is written properly. And so, but no, I can't be linear.
And speaking of the locations that you have in your book that are very specific to the area, was it your intent also to write about the dating scene in this area?
It was, because it's DC, if you're talking about studies in DC and Baltimore and the surrounding areas, it's really hard, it's difficult to date at this point. And studies show that it's difficult to find somebody in this area. So he's there, and then even when I sign up on certain dating sites, they say, well, you may want to go ahead and expand your area. And that's kind of disconcerting, but it does go back to the dating scene. It does pull in, because there are men out here. There are men that's right for that one particular person within the GMV area. It's just the places. How can I say this? The places are familiar, hopefully, with the people that are in this particular area. They know what I'm talking about. They're landmarks. They know what I'm talking about. Oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. And when I was driving here, I actually noticed, oh, that's what I was talking about. So it was interesting to see how those come together and how those little spots, those landmarks play a role in my writing, because writing it does imitate art. Life imitates art.
Right, and how you transitioned them into your stories, I thought was very, very nice. Are there any particular authors that have influenced your writing?
Besides Jennifer Weiner, she was the first one that influenced me with the chicklet. So I call myself Christian chicklet. Terry McMillan, because of her scenes. I can hear her descriptive writing, but also what the character is saying. And also Stephen King.
Oh, tell me about
Stephen King, even though people say, well, he's horror and he's this and he's scary, it's one of those things where my favorite book was from him is Needful Things. I read his book while I was temping at a prestigious financial firm. And I laughed at this one scene. And I said, okay, that is stellar. I want to write like that. I want to make sure that my character, or whatever my character says, jumps off that page. And those three authors alone really just inspired me to read more and to read their style, and not only read for enjoyment, but also read for their process. I also liked Connie Briscoe, because her words, her descriptive phrases, especially about PG County, of course, of Prince George's County, of course. And I said, oh, I know that place. Oh, I know that place. Oh, I remember what that looks like. And then when seeing that, I said, okay, I want to make sure that if my readers are in my area, or if you actually come to the area, or if you're not familiar with the area, that you kind of know that this is a fun place to come and visit. Those authors got me into being descriptive and making sure that the characters jump off that page.
Yeah, and one thing, you mentioned Connie and the locations, you're 100% correct on that. But I like the way that she's not randomly selecting locations. And even when she's interweaving it into the narrative, there is something specifically important about that place. Like, for example, Haynes Point. It has, you know, long been a place where people, especially in the summer, would just drive around and look cute and, you know, just pimping their cars and, you know, so they're out, they want to be seen. And so, you know, and having Haynes Point being a part of a location that is discussed in the book, knowing the history behind Haynes Point. But then there are the generational considerations, because whereas, using Haynes Point still as an example, whereas Haynes Point may have been a place where people in our generation and before us may have gone there. Now it might be Club Love or you know, some other place. So, you know, as an author, and particularly when you're using locations and just understanding, first of all, who your audience is, right? And then in light of that, knowing when we're doing things like adding locations and things like that, knowing the significance of them for the different generations and audience that we're writing to.
I like how it takes you back too. When certain readers see a particular scene, oh, I remember that place, and we used to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and it takes you from the story. It takes you from the story, but it takes you back to a good time.
Right.
And I think that's just really, it just adds a little extra to that reading experience.
It does, and especially if you're if you're going back in a day, and you might bring up the Fox Trap, you know, places that we might know that people would go to, or RSVP. I'm really dating myself right now. Let me be quiet. Let me be quiet. Okay, so as a self-published author now, of course, everybody thinks they have a book in them, right? So it's very competitive. That's my point on that. So as a self-published author, at what point did you think about, or what point did you decide that you were going to self-publish versus going to try to get this published through a major publisher?
I heard different stories about publishing versus self-publishing, and one author in particular, I took a little workshop from her, and Kayla Brady, and she went from self-publishing to publishing and then back to self-publishing again. And I wanted to develop my audience. And I figure if I go through a publisher, go through a publisher, let it sit on the shelf and marinate, I wouldn't be able to develop my audience. So I said, let me self-publish.
That's a good point.
And decide to let's build up my audience, say, okay, well, if I go to a publisher, this is my audience, this is who is reading my book. And once I have that established, then I don't feel as intimidated to see an author, because you hear so many horror stories about how, oh, well, you get so many rejection letters and no one wants to hear that story, and they, you know, it sits on there and goes to the circular file and it's a stack piled high. And I said, well, I don't think I want to go through all that right now. I want to get my story out. I want to get the feedback. So do I need to change it? And that's a good thing about self-publishing. I get to change whatever I want to change. Yeah. And so I'm not stuck with that book cover. I'm not stuck with those words in my book. I'm able to make my own changes and tweak it too, so it would actually really resonate with readers, because I do get feedback. Well, why did you say this? And I said, okay, well, let me just go ahead and maybe I might consider making changes. And once I have that, then I know that if I go to a publisher with this particular book, then I feel more confident, because I have my audience. I have a finished product, and it's in the reviews that are in, they know, they can actually see what people are saying about my book.
And so, but then there's the business of self-publishing.
That's another story.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Because, you know, just as different as authors are, experiences can be different too, because there are some authors that just want to publish a book and they just want to write it. They're not really that interested in the book sales, and so they're not as into the marketing of it as others. Talk to me about what your experience has been.
Well, the good news is I was a marketing major. So the creativity and how to position my book and the product positioning and price and all and place, it just, that's already in me. And so I had a little leg up with that. And then the fact that it is a different side of business because you're doing everything yourself. It's coming out of pocket. And you can do it on the cheap, but there's certain things you should not skimp, like book covers and editing and making sure that you have your focus group and getting it printed. And which, okay, so you have this book, you have the book cover, you have it edited, so who's going to put it together? And how much is that going to cost you? And when you have that, when you finally figure out where you want to go with that book, okay, so how am I going to get it out there? How am I going to sling these books? Am I slinging it out of my car? Do I need to get a license? Do I need to do this and do that? So I joined a writers guild, the Black Writers Guild of Maryland, and I got a chance to understand the business side of it, meaning finding out, okay, how on earth do I get get this book out? Book festivals, Facebook, social media, just getting it out there. How do I get the book out there? And as time progresses, and when you have that support group, then you're able to, it's a lot easier to maneuver and the business side of it. Just make sure you have a little bit of extra change, but still you can actually maneuver the business side of it when you have that support.
And the support group being?
Well, the Black Writers Guild of Maryland, and also soon the Maryland Writers Association. So you'll have that support to help you muddle through being a self-published author.
And how do they help you and support you? For our dream catchers who haven't heard of either organization, what resources are available there? They
will help. They will point you in best directions for book festivals. That's the first thing. And then maybe an editor, or maybe a place to who can design certain things and who can do this, who can promote your book, what steps I need to take to actually get publicity, or just little things you never even considered. You thought maybe, okay, I got this book, now how do I get it out there? But different places, even so much as who to use or suggestions to use for to put your book together. Because there are resources, and people will tell you their experience. Be more than happy to tell you your experiences, and that way that you get that support through them. Maryland writers are the same thing, but I see a lot with Maryland writers. They have a focus group. They have a writers critique circle, and that's really key. That's really stellar. So you have other writers who are looking, who know what to look for in your book. It could bring something out of you, take something away. Whatever the case may be, they're there to assist you with that.
What are some of the marketing strategies that you've taken on in selling your book, having a marketing background?
I keep things simple on my table. That's one of the things, and I thought my book cover, I'm in love with my book cover.
I am too, I love that little bow.
Oh, thank you so much. And the way that when people approach my table, make sure that it's pink flowers. So I have the way that it's, because there are flowers in the book, and the theme is rather pink. This particular book is pink. And of course, old school candy. So you got to have them come in. And then the fact that one particular question that I always ask people when they say, oh, at least once, what do you mean? Well, what is your at least once? And that gets them hooked into the story and what they want to think about and what they want to discuss. And also, and then when I tell them about it's a singles class, oh, well, what do you mean at least once with the singles class? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. And that's how I draw my people to. I don't have the banner or the tablecloth, not just yet. I've been instructed not just yet.
Okay.
But at least have my presence there. And make sure I have of course, my postcards and my giveaways and promotional items, stuff that's on top of. I have a little spiral notebook, and I make sure that they have. There's a scripture, but it's called a blessings journal, and they kind of like that more so than the book. And so I'm thinking about selling that too. But just the fact that there's things there that draw customers to my table.
Okay, and in terms of the readers that you've come across that have bought your book, and and have given you feedback on the book. What are some of the things, or let's say the most important thing that they took away in reading your book? Because you have different themes in it. So what are the things that you hear most about what people enjoy about reading your book?
The first thing I heard was that it was an affordable therapy. And I really liked that.
Yeah,
I
like
really
that
enjoyed
too.
hearing that. And I said, okay, so good. My encouraging spiritual gifts is actually working. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then the glasses. One of the glasses that it was one glass. There's two glasses in the book. So you have to read the book in order to understand what the glasses mean. But somebody received those glasses, and now they're getting married.
Oh, wow.
So I told them in the book it does describe what each glass means, and they took that, and next thing you know, they received it as a gift, and they said, well, what is this glasses? What are the glasses for? Again, read the book, but also the fact that the meaning behind those two glasses, and they were just so touched that one, they received them, and two, somebody was thinking about them in that capacity. And other feedback I did get a chance to receive was the humor. It's like
definitely the humor.
It's the fact that it's comedic relief because the subject can be heavy.
It can.
But just the fact that they can let their hair down and discuss things and be transparent, and so people ask me, well, what happened to that? Where's that class? I'll take that class. And I'm like, if I could, I would be able to do it myself. But that's just birthed out of my head more so than anything. But it's how it's needed. And I didn't realize how needed it was until people who read my book actually told me. It's like, okay, so good. I am encouraging folks and keeping people accountable and letting people being transparent as well.
Okay, now, so what's next, DM?
What's next? Well, my next book is focusing on Iris. Iris hints around a cruise like no other throughout the book. And this book is about her cruise that she takes. It is about a specific cruise. That cruise like no other is indeed a true book. I mean, a true cruise. And her experiences on that cruise, it's taking, while we wait, we will have a good time, we will enjoy ourselves, and we will shine our light. One of the things I wanted to let people know in this at least once, you gotta shine your light.
Right.
You have to shine your light. In order for him to find you, in order for him to find you, you have to shine your light. We're taking Iris on this cruise to shine her light. Okay. And I'm excited when that comes out because it's coming out sometime next year.
Okay.
And so that's the second installment of the While We Wait series.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
And I wish you much success on the series in general.
Thank you.
And hope to have you back.
Thank you so much.
When you have those books ready in the can and you're ready to talk about them.
Alrighty.
So Dreamcatchers, I hope you enjoyed today's show and hearing from the talented DM Cuffie. And I hope you enjoyed this season of The Writer's Haven. We will be back in a few weeks and we'll kick off season 2 with the incomparable Connie Briscoe. If you missed any of our episodes, tune in to our YouTube channel at The Writer's Haven with Helena. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time. And as always, until then, catch fire on purpose.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.